Thank you for all those who have joined today. This is the Consumer Goods Ask an Expert Hour, and we will be reviewing some specific topics today and then open it up for questions later. Please make any purchasing decisions based on products readily available. And we do want to go into a few introductions on some of our panelists for today. We do have a good amount of people on the back end here able to answer any of your questions as they come in as well. And for today's topic, we'll be talking about multi-market and user setup. And again, we'll jump into Q&A after that, and you'll receive an email with some of those follow-up resources as well. If you've never been on a Zoom webinar before, there is a Q&A panel and a chat panel. We prefer that you put your questions in that Q&A panel at the bottom or top of your screen, wherever it might be. That way we can queue those questions, and then our panelists here today are able to answer those as they come in or answer those live, depending on if we need additional context. And then we also have the Trailblazer community, one for customers, one for partners. So feel free to join those. You should receive an email 24 hours after this call with those links as well. So make sure you join those for future advertisement of our future sessions, as well as any one-off questions you might not have answered today. And with that being said, we'll jump into introductions. My name is Hayes Withrow. I'm a success guide at Salesforce, specifically aligned to our industry clouds, which includes Consumer Goods Cloud. And I will pass it to Swapna and then Mark.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Can you please stop sharing? Yeah, thanks.
I'm going to hit record here too. Oh, no, it is recording. Okay.
So you can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, thank you very much. So today you will learn more insights about multi-market. So this can be translated to our sales org concept. So how to set up multi-market, what is the main purpose of multi-market, and how to set up the user. Both concepts are today based on the enhanced object model. So the multi-market concept in CG Cloud is using sales organizations to segregate your project within different sales organizations. This means you can segment your data and your configuration depending on the segregation of your business. For example, you can segregate your entire business by regions. So for example, let me briefly switch here. You have multinational organization as a client, and you need to support multiple regions. In this example, 5 different markets. And the 5 different markets, they have different data for sure, but they have different variations of business processes. So one example is in some modern markets, there is workers' council at least approval required in order to track GPS coordinates. While in other markets, for example, Latin America or Asia, you can activate this feature without any concerns. It means you can implement CG Cloud once, and then you have the flexibility on top of segregating your data based on markets to segregate your business process configuration as well. And it is possible in this setup to set up your entire project based on multiple Salesforce orgs, which has a massive impact on your organization, on costs and maintenance. And our solution is focusing to set up within one Salesforce org multiple markets segregated by different sales orgs. For the case you have a global installation, it is best practice to have regional Salesforce orgs. For example, one Salesforce org in Americas, another Salesforce org in Europe, and a third Salesforce org in Asia and Australia. And then have the sales org segregation in the regional orgs. This is best practice for the case you have really a global installation. But you can use sales orgs not only to segregate by different markets. So let's assume you have one big market, for example, North America, and within this market, you have, such as in this example, the need to segregate by different channels, because in the manufacturer is making business in retail channel, wholesale channel, and food service as well. And they want to have a segregation of all of the data and business processes in this constellation as well. Or another example in the beverage industry is when you have a big organization, have multiple butlers, and the butlers are typically independent on their data. They want to have the segregation on data, and they have, in most of the cases, variations of the business processes as well. Typically, when you have an integration with an SAP system, you can use or you can map the sales org from SAP in the Salesforce system, but it's not a must-have. That means you can combine multiple sales orgs from the SAP system in our system, or you can create additional sales orgs as well. In CG Cloud, you can assign one mobile user. So let's assume a sales rep as a mobile user. You can assign this user exactly to one sales org. In this example, the regional market Germany. But when you have online users, for example, a business administrator. In this example, the business administrator is responsible for Nordics, including Norway and Sweden, and he's able to maintain the business process templates, or he can set up activities and sales folder for the entire Nordics region. It means you can assign for the online users multiple sales orgs. But all of the master data, they were separated, and all transactional data are segregated by the sales org. I mentioned already before that the vast majority of the CG Cloud business process templates, such as the templates for orders, visit, or for the activities, they are sales org dependent. It means you can achieve to have a different configuration based on your sales org. I received multiple times the question from our partner community, can I enhance the template settings? The answer is yes, it is best practice. For the case, you need to implement additional business logic to introduce settings in the templates and have the settings that are by default sales org dependent. It means when you have a new functionality in order a specific validation, you will introduce a setting. You use the modeler, code your business validation only once, and then you can activate by market or by sales org the functionality. Please avoid in your customized code including conditions if sales org 1, then execute version A, if sales org 2, version another version. This is a maintenance nightmare and not recommended. The recommended approach is customize additional settings in the templates And then you have automatically the Salesforce dependency. And if you are adding additional sales orgs in the future, you can decide if the sales org does require the functionality or not. That's a huge advantage. So this was my quick introduction. I will now hand over to Swapna.
Thank you, Mark. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so it's I need to set the set preferences. It is asking me to leave and join back.
But we can use the time for any questions. No open questions, okay.
No, also no open questions currently in the Q&A section.
Good.
Empty so far.
But partners, feel free. We have now a couple of minutes time to raise any questions immediately.
They're coming in, some of them.
Looks like a few questions came in.
Yes. So one question from Peter Carlson. By when can we expect the new summer 22 managed package? We are planning to go GA with retail early July.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello everyone. I'm Supna from Industries Q3 team. In this demo, we'll guide you through setting up of two retail execution personas, that is supervisor and sales representative. In general, while creating a user, admin need to know what is the role of the user, and based on the role, what object should be accessible by the user, and also what level the access should be provided for an object. This is a very important task in order to enable the user to perform the task that they are meant to do. For example, sales representative. Sales representatives are responsible for visiting customers, taking orders, selling promotions, doing compliance check. So in case new customers, creating new customer information and updating existing customer information as well. So now we will see how to set up personas with different levels of access using the concepts of profiles and permission sets. Before that, so we have outlined some pre-installation steps in our installation guide. So let me quickly jump to that pre-installation tasks. This is where our installation process begins. Among them is creating a new create user profile. So in this demo, I'm going to focus only on the CG Cloud user profile. Using this, I'm going to create supervisor and sales user persona users. So after completing the pre-installation task, the next step is to install the managed package. So while installing the managed package, it is mandatory to map all the profile users with access level. This will help us to import all the pre-configured setting into our organization profile. And after the installation completes, it is mandatory to follow all the post-installation tasks so that we can, this will help us to successfully log into the offline app. The post-installation task includes deploying of additional metadata, pick list, setting up pick list, incorporating all the layout changes, plus mapping of sales organization to the user and mapping of mobility sales organization to the user. So I have a sales organization which is already configured with all the relevant data. I'll walk through those data and explain how we can map sales organization to the user. And again, sales organization and mobility sales organization to the user. We have 3 users configured in this system. Here, Lisa Zen is configured as supervisor, and other 2, Smith, Joel Smith and Richard, they both are from sales rep personas. As you can see, all 3 users are using CG Cloud user profile. The permission given at the highest level, like profiles, cannot be restricted at the lower level, like users. So for these users to access to the objects need to be restricted based on the business flow they are involved in. That's when the permission sets comes into the picture. So user access rights are restricted on different levels. One is at the object level and second one at the record level. At the object level, that is by using profiles and permission sets. And at the record level, we can use role hierarchy and sharing rules to configure the permissions. So permission sets are used to grant additional permissions to specific users on top of their existing profile permissions. So without having to modify existing profiles or create a new profile. So the permission set, what we have assigned to the supervisor is CG Cloud supervisor. Similarly, for sales rep, it is CG Cloud sales user. I can quickly show a simple example. So here, Lisa Zen, supervisor, has logged in. So I will go to customer subset, customer sets. Here you can see the supervisor has new key button enabled so that he can create a new record. Where in case of sales rep, he can only view the record. So this is all about object level permission. Now, let's discuss record level access. So as we all know, not all the objects are set to public. Some objects are set to private to ensure only the record owners can view it and no one else. So now imagine an order that has been created, which can only be viewed by sales rep who has created it. But however, supervisor of the sales rep also should also be able to view it. So how we can enable it? That is via role hierarchy. This is one of the way. The second one is via sharing rules. I'll come to that after completing this point. So we need to configure a role hierarchy. Here at each node is a role. So I have configured supervisor and sales rep, 2 different roles here. And now supervisor can see all the records created by the subordinates. But here there is a one flow, one thing, the sales rep user, which is mapped at the same level, cannot view their records. that is when the sharing rules comes into the picture. That we can enable it by going to the sharing settings, select the objects where you want to set the sharing rules, go to new, and we can create the groups. It can be roles, or we can use role hierarchy to define the sharing rules, or we can have a public groups created and map it. So basically select which records to be shared. So group of people, records created and shared with the second group. The sharing rules are extends horizontal access to a user profile regardless of their place in the role hierarchy. They are not dependent on the role hierarchy. Okay. So now coming back to the slide. So next point, configuration required to allow supervisor to plan visit for other users. So we need to set that at custom settings. Go to organization setting. Enable or disable the role hierarchy. So in case if we enable the role hierarchy, so Lisa Zane can see all the users with the roles associated. This is a custom lookup enabled. In case if we disable it, so this is a free standard lookup. So it is irrespective of the org level hierarchy, and it will list all the users. Yeah. So this is about the localization. Frank, you want to add some points here?
Yes, for localization, there was also some questions from the audience or in the channels. And there was the question, is it possible on a mobile device also to have other language? As already displayed by Mark at the beginning of the session, he mentioned that for a sales org, that the user can be assigned to multiple sales org for the online solution. But for the offline solution, there's only the way to have one sales org on a mobile device. So there is not the possibility to have multiple sales org for one user assigned, which is using the offline app. On the sales org level, you can configure per sales org level up to 4 languages which are supported by that kind of sales org. And on the back end, it is when we are talking about localization, it is clear that you can switch the language you would like to see on the online solution. This is the standard Salesforce behavior of our application, that you can get this this content in your language you would like to have. For the mobility application, you have to do a little bit more steps. Can you please open the link internal input, Swapna?
Yeah.
There are some steps to execute to enable that. First of them, we can not directly switch per user the language on the device, but we can switch the language per sales org at the end. What you have to do for the user, you can go to the user over setup, go into the edit mode and exchange the language, which is currently here. This is the errors in English, for example, to German. This is the part that when you are also connect to online application, then you see all the content in German. Then for the mobile offline application, you have to do some additional steps. You know that there is the mobility modeler, which is our customization tool for the offline application. And during the installation of the modeler, you was already going over the hyperlink pages to download the MCP file, the modeler setup file, and all these things. And as you extracted the MCP file, This is the second screen. Thanks for that, Swapna. When you download that and extract that, then you will see inside that extracted file, please scroll down a little bit more. You will see there are multiple additional files which are part of that. Can you scroll a little bit, Swapna?
Yeah.
So you download, for example, the file mcp236.005.pack. And when you unzip it, you see MCP, VI, MCP, DE, and these are the local files we need on a mobility application. And to inject that one into our modeler, you have to go inside the modeler. You have to go to the repository and say import contract and select this zip file, which contains the language you are interested in. So for these languages you see here, these are pre-configured from Salesforce. That means when you are interested, for example, in Russia language or in German language, we have already a pre-configured file with the translations. In case you have a different language which is not supported out of the box by Salesforce, then you can also do inside the modeler, you can clone of the existing language, for example, the English language. You can create a clone and then do your own adaptations of the language files by yourself. When you scroll down a little bit, and for importing, after you have imported this MCP inside your modeler, in the navigation tree of the model of the left-hand side, you will see an area which is called local. And out of the box, when you have not additional language files imported, you see only EN and global labels. And for the when you have imported one, then you would see, for example, DE as an additional language over there. This is the main part, what is required for the switch the mobility application into a different language for a user. Second question, which most often is coming up, as we know for English and German, for example, we have different formats for a date. Out of the box, our system is configured in a way that our default date representation is English. But when you say, I would like to have a different look and feel or different date format for my user, as this user is in German time frame, then you can add this localization section, which is displayed over here at the bottom of the list at the moment, and can put it into your local file, in the EN file or in the DE file in case you would adapt the German one. Can you scroll down a little bit? The localization, this is a moment representing what kind of values we are supporting. So short date, long date, time, and so on. And inside the local file, you can paste this kind of code snippet into the section between framework and global. And then you can do your adaptations, whatever you want to have. And a list of what kind of values are available and supported you can also see in the list, please scroll down a little bit more, what is supported by our tool so far. So there are a wide range of values you can select for long name of the month, long name of the date, and so on. So this is what we all support with that kind of language. That's all from my side regarding language and translation. Back to you, Swapna.
Thanks, Frank. So the next topic is to cover the user setting part. So user setting is the settings which are applicable in the day-to-day activities. So where we are setting the actual work day in a week, and the landing page, it can be main menu or the advanced user cockpit or user cockpit, all the mobility this is mobility relevant configuration, and the picture quality. So we can associate the pictures to visit or survey or capture survey and the store check places. So the quality of the pictures are defined at the user setting level. The synchronization, so where we can define the automatic sync intervals. So this is the configuration which focus on visit calendar. We can display the calendar week, display weekends are, so initial time, and the calculation setting is completely TPM relevant one. And in related, we can specify the product manager, managed products. This will be helpful to configure the promotions. Next topic is to cover the sales org, initial setup and upgrade. So, so we are shipping one pre-configured and two sample sales org records along with our managed package. When I say pre-configured, so along with the sales org record, we are also shipping the configured templates, which can immediately help us to implement the business flows. We can create sales org. There are two ways to create the sales org. One is via new sales org, new button, which is present in our sales org UI. And second way is to copy the CSV records and upload it via dataloader.io. So there could be many reasons to set up separate sales org. It might be the case that manufacturer sells the different products in different countries, had to deal with different currencies or different process in place. In that case, so we will have a thing that we have a Kroger account, and that is relevant for another sales organization as well. In that case, we cannot reuse the Kroger account, which is relevant for 001. To make it relevant for 002, we have to manually clone the record and make it relevant for 002 by mapping the customer template of type 002. So the best practices for sales org specific organization. So I think, Christian, you can take this. You can add a point here. Christian, are you there?
Christian, looks like you're not out at the moment.
Okay. Okay, 2 points to remember with respect to the sales organization. So
am I audible now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I talked almost a minute for myself now. Okay. As said, I believe Mark has mentioned the main idea that we typically try to avoid hard coding and instead go for new settings which could be placed either on the templates because they are sales organization dependent, or directly at the sales organization would also be an option at the sales organization object, and then make use of that setting on the mobile side and have the business logic written in a way that it evaluates this new setting and depending on it triggers new processes and so on. And the same applies for the mobility UI. We have some entry points where you can hide certain cards from the cockpit or hide dedicated elements. And the idea would just be have a new setting, evaluate that also on mobility, and then depending on the setting, hide certain things or show them. That's the recommendation from our side.
Thanks, Christian. So these two are the frequent questions asked. So what is the limit of maximum number of sales org within Salesforce organization? So it's up to 30, depending on the size of each sales org. And second one, managed package does not provide out of the box permission to control visibility of the sales org specific data. But we can control the visibility by implementing sharing rules. Yeah. Over to you, Mark.
Mark, looks like you're also not audible for the moment. So something goes wrong today with the system when we go unmute. So don't we wait for Mark? So at the moment, it looks like there is a technical issue. So there was one question raised by Michelle in the panel. So unfortunately, I pushed the live answer button, and please, I pinged you over the chat. So please provide us the tickets. You said you have created already 3 tickets for that and did not receive any response. So in general,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you, but please let me finish, Mark, and then I can hand over to you. Yeah, please share the tickets with us. We will have a look to that. But in general, this session is to give, ask for question, for problems. But the session is not indeed for directly jump into a real ticket which is currently on the system. But we will have a look to that so that you are not receiving any feedback on that. This is not what we want, and we will have a look to that. And over to you, Mark.
No, I have no additional slides, so we can use the remaining time for responding to questions.
So on the channel, there are currently 2 questions, but both of them get answered currently. So at the moment, no open question so far. So for attendees, please take the chance and ask additional question what you would like to know, or when you say, okay, this is a topic I would be interested for upcoming sessions, also feel free to type it in.
Maybe as we wait for other questions to come in, we could mention some of the questions that came in out loud, just so everyone knows what the answer might be to those that have been answered already. Looks like we have more that just came in.
Yeah. So Mark, there is a question. Can you please talk about products and related objects like assortments and assortment products? Would you be able to answer out of the box?
Yes, but I need some more details. So what is the main interest of this question?
Hi, do we have the chance to open the channel for the attendees to ask the question over voice, or should they type it into the chat?
Yes, I can allow them to speak. This is for the offline application question.
This was related to Rina raised this question regarding the assortments and assortments products.
Oh, okay. Yep, Rina, I just allowed you to talk. You just have to take yourself off mute.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yes.
Yeah, thanks for these sessions. These sessions are really nice, and they're kind of helping us to do our implementation. So meanwhile, I have a question regarding the products and its related objects like assortments and assortment products. So we have an implementation to do with that. And I was thinking in the new offline mode, do we use this assortments and assortment products as such we do in the old model? So that was the question.
Yeah. Okay. So we are planning in one of the upcoming sessions to provide a separate session for master data. So more details about all account extensions, for example, roles, relationships, and same for the products. But I can provide some insights immediately. The new offline application is based on the platform object product 2, but with some enhancements. For example, we added unit of measures, which are supported in some business processes, for example, order entry. It means there was additional relations to unit of measure. Then you can, at a minimum, you must set up one unit of measure in order to use the product in order, but you can set up multiple unit of measures. And when you have set up multiple unit of measures, you go to your order entry, you are able in the same order to order the product in boxes, in pieces, or in pallets. So there are additional entities. And same for the product assortment. We are using the standard product assortment object, but with some significant enhancements. So we are supporting multiple types, and the most prominent type of assortment is called authorization list. And in authorization list, the major enhancement is to provide, let me phrase this in a different way, is to set up the product assortment at a higher level, for example, a trade organization, and assigning listing modules at store level. This is the big advantage that you need to create and maintain one authorization list for the entire trade organization. And then you can fine-tune by store type level. For example, the large format store, the entire portfolio from the assortment will apply to the large format store, while to the small format stores, only a subset of the products will be showing up and can be ordered during the order entry. But this is a very important concept. But again, platform objects, product 2 and product assortment are used, but with certain extensions in both objects. Do you want to hear more details in a specific area, or have I answered the most relevant?
Yes, yeah. So, yes, thanks.
Good. Okay, thanks. Okay, then I see multiple questions regarding sales org, multi-market, and master data. So for the scenario, you have the segregation by markets. That means different regions. As in my example, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Spain. Normally, you have different customers related to the region. In most of the projects, you see different products as well. But I agree, when you have a segregation, for example, by channels or by product categories, then you can have the use case that the same customer needs to make business for multiple channels, for example. But the overall issue, based on our experience, the same physical customer can act with complete different attributes in the different channels different. So typically, the customer master data comes from SAP, and you will get, for example, a different priority. Or in the chat, I made the example, one customer can be acting as a direct customer for one channel, while he is an indirect customer where you need to maintain all of your wholesalers, and you have different attributes for the customer master, different roles, different relationship for the other channel. And if you need to roll out solution multi-market in one region, and you have a segregation by, for example, channel or division, then you need to clone your customer master data and assign this to all of the required sales. The next session is about org unit management, means territory management, how to set up org unit, what is best practice in org unit management, what kind of business processes are driven by a proper org unit structure. And the second part of the session is about setting up